I'm so excited to do this video today because I've been waiting for this little baby to arrive. Not that kind of baby. A ring. I've been waiting for the Atlantis ring. This ring is said to have functional properties that can help you be more in tune with your subconscious. It can help your body heal. It can keep bad energies away from you, and it actually has some kind of functional energy shielding powers. What is it? What is the Atlantis ring? So the Atlantis ring, or the Luxor ring, or the Egyptian ring, I think it's also called, is a ring that was found in a grave in 1860, and the grave was super old. It was the grave of an ancient Egyptian priest called Dua, and it was from the 2nd dynasty, so it's literally like one of the oldest dynastic Egyptian graves that there is. What is unusual about this ring is it has sacred geometry like in the design of the ring. So it's not just a fancy schmancy piece of gold, it is a functional thing. The design of this ring is at least 5,000 years old. It is a very ancient design. We don't really know a lot about it. Story time. So in 1860, French Egyptologist called Marquis d'Argren, I don't know if I said that right. He was doing an excavation in Valley of the Kings, and yeah, he found this priest's tomb and he found this ring. Now, it was passed down, I think, in his family a couple of generations because it was a pretty cool ring. The original ring was not made of metal, interestingly enough. The original ring was made out of stone, which is why it's like impossible to date and could be super, super old. Let's show you the original ring. Here is the original ring, apparently made of, I've heard that it's made of Aswan clay. I've also heard it's made of Aswan sandstone. I think the ring today is in like a private, it's in a private collection. It's owned by family, so unfortunately, like, we can't go and see it and check it out, but there's an original photo of it. The guy who found the ring kept the ring, passed it down a few generations, and then it was his grandchild, I believe, in the 1920s, called André de Béziers. André was a radiesthesist. Basically, that's a person who studies energy frequencies and how energy reacts from objects and humans, and they basically study energy. And he noticed that the ring had effects on its environment and the person wearing it, like tangible, marketable, you could measurable, that's the one I'm looking for. It had a measurable effect within its own environment. Now, I'm not sure whether he loaned the ring or whether he gave a replica ring to Howard Carter, who was one of the famous Egyptologists in the 1920s who helped to discover the Tutankhamun tomb in Valley of the Kings. Anyway, here's where the story gets a little bit saucy. Howard Carter, wearing either a replica or the original ring, goes into the tomb of Tutankhamun the Pharaoh, which, by the way, had a plaque above the tomb which literally said, "Don't go in this tomb or else you're gonna die." There was like a curse on the tomb. In fact, it said, "Death will strike with its wings those that touch the Pharaoh," or something to that effect. Out of all the people who went into the tomb to like excavate Tutankhamun's tomb, like a lot of people died. Like a lot of people. They say different amounts, but it's somewhere between 18 to 24 people died within like 2 years or a couple of years after going into this tomb, except Howard Carter. And he believed, like firmly believed, that the ring was the reason why he was like exempt from the curse. They started to look at this ring a little bit more closely and do more tests on it, and then some French dude, he wrote a book about his findings. This book, nope, that book, that book, called, well, Essay of the Vibratory, I don't know, that thing in French. But this book was all about the findings of the ring and what they measured that it could do. He also worked out that you could stretch the ring out and make it flat, like a brick, like a bar, which they call the Luxor bar. Here it is. Here it is. Okay, so let's just talk about this thing for a second. Can I make it bigger? Oh, I can. Great. Nope, dropped it. There we are. So he translated, this is the original ring, this is the Luxor bar that they were doing tests on, and this is like the modern day replicas that you can get. Actually, I have not just a ring, they also gave me a free Luxor bar, which you can put as like a keychain, or you can wear it as like a pendant, which apparently this was colored by light frequencies. That's how they got the color into this metal. So they started to notice that the bar had, and the ring had these frequencies that could affect the environment around it. Here's a little picky there. Okay, so I got some like leaflets when I got my ring, which is a gold, 10K gold replica. The ring and the certain objects with the Luxor symbol, when properly crafted, will work like an antennae, receiving and transmitting powerful waves that help transmute harmful energies, and through the waves it can help manifest a strong, subtle energy field that will protection, energy healing, and enhanced intuition. I had to try it. So, I was looking all over the internet trying to find out why this is called the Atlantis ring, and there's no like firm information, but the kind of the lore, the myth, the legend is that Egyptian priests in the early dynasties. So the early dynastic Egyptian priests used to be the wisdom keepers and the like history keepers and the mystery keepers of the whole Cometian people. They were the people that spoke to Solon like thousands of years later and told Solon all about the history of the Egyptian people, where they came from. It is in their tradition that they believe that they came from survivors of an island that disappeared in a cataclysm. Literally, it's on the Temple of Edfu, and they are the people that told Solon about Atlantis. This Egyptian priesthood. So the Egyptians had knowledge of technologies and traditions that came from the original civilization before the dynastic Egyptians came to power. So it makes sense that this was found in an Egyptian priest's tomb. So it was obviously very special, it obviously meant something, and it makes sense that it could have been passed down, especially if it was made of stone. This thing could be, like the original ring, it could be 10,000 years old. It's 5,000 years old at least because of the tomb that we found it in. But because it's stone, I mean, that stuff lasts forever. It could be 12,000 years old. Or it could be a replica of a ring, of a ring, of a ring. Maybe they had a function. Also, I remember one of the guides in Egypt when we were at Edfu, and I was trying to find the text talking about Atlantis, and he mentioned, weirdly, that the symbol, the pyramid symbol and the pyramid shape came from the island of the original civilization. They brought that to ancient Egypt from before.
Pyramid shape is the holy shape for the Egyptian people. But why? Because the Egyptian people also imagine this shape, it was in the islands. Mm-hmm. And this is the reason why this shape or the pyramid shape is the holy. And also in the island, the obelisk is starting there.
So anything that's like super angular, pyramid, that kind of megalithic stuff, he claimed came from before. And the shapes that are on this, it's like a obelisk. It's the same kind of shape of an obelisk. It does seem to be seems to be in the shape of an antenna. See, here we go. Here's what we're talking about. It looks like a kind of bent, if you were going to melt an obelisk and like bend it over, that's kind of what that would look like. I read another sort of oral tradition about when there was a cataclysm, a lot of the priests were evacuating somewhere, and that this was the ring that was left behind, and this was an Atlantean priest who then left the ring in the hands of what was going to be the Egyptian priesthood. So I think kind of that's where it came from. So there's no like direct evidence link that it's Atlantis, but it's just picked up the name because it seems to have been an inherited object. There's nothing like this in any other Egyptian jewelry. Like, it's so precise, precision, sacred geometry. It just seems to align itself with like pyramid building, obelisk building, precision stone cutting. It lives in that world rather than the really ornate, colorful, curvy dynastic Egyptian stuff, like all their jewelry. Like, it doesn't seem to fit the narrative. I can see why people think it was older.